Oh, do you have to come up here right now?
Okay, I think we should be live.
Yeah, we're live. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Shelley Phillips. I am a certified Atlas trainer, as well as a certified canine fitness coach, and I am also one of the instructors on the courses. We did a Facebook Live a couple of months ago that talked a lot about the Academy, kind of the material, the courses in the Academy, how the material was laid out, the platform that it's on, expectations. So I will put a link to that live Facebook Live in the comments. So if anybody wants to go back and watch that, I will also put a link in there to a video that talks about our free sample course. And then also the link to the form where you can sign up for the free sample course. So it'll be for the Facebook Live where we're talking about the Academy, the sample course, which will give you even more details about the Academy, and then the form so you can sign up for the free sample course. But for this Facebook Live, we thought it would be fun to ask some of our trainers and facilitators. And for those of you that don't know what our facilitators are volunteers that work with our clients, and they take a subset of our Trainer Academy courses. And a lot of the facilitators have actually gone on to do the full Academy. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. I've got some questions to ask the trainers and the facilitators. If you have any questions while you're watching and you want to ask the trainers, please drop them in the chat. And Jennifer, you're monitoring the chat, right? The
I
chat.
am, and I just put the link.
Mic.
I just put in the link for the sample course and then just the website in general for the trainer certification program.
Okay. So Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll let the trainers and facilitators introduce themselves and kind of talk about their programs.
Sure. I'm Jen Kohler. I am one of the founders of Atlas. Also one of our instructors. I'm in Seattle, Washington. And yeah, just excited to talk to people about this, our academy, and excited to hear from our trainers about how it's impacted their businesses and help them impact other people's lives.
Kelly, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tala. I have the business Helping Howls. We're located in Virginia, and we opened a new chapter in Northern Virginia, but we're mostly based in Richmond. We focus mostly on helping owner trainers with their service dogs, but we're doing a little bit of work on like started and fully trained dogs for people who don't really have the time or capacity to train their own service dog. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a multi-certified trainer and I absolutely love the Atlas program. So that's a little bit about me.
Krishna?
Yeah, my name is Krishna and I am in Southern Oregon now. My business is Sticks and Balls Dog Training. And it's been sort of an uphill battle to get business going. We were in Southern Utah, and apparently in the areas that I have chosen to be, there isn't a whole lot of information or businesses that do actual positive reinforcement training. So just getting over that hurdle is a real challenge. More so here than Southern. I think, the only one in my area of Southern Utah that did positive reinforcement. So that's been really tricky. And I think working with Atlas and taking the programs and courses that I've taken has really shifted my mindset to away from pet dog training to I really want to get to helping veterans. My husband's a veteran, train service dogs, because I think it would be hugely beneficial. And I think it's an area that doesn't get as much attention as it needs.
I agree. I think we've all kind of found that. Melanie, in fact, you and I were just talking about that at the APDT conference.
Yeah,
Do you want to
we were.
introduce yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I'm Melanie. I'm the founder and lead trainer of Real Canine Training. I'm located in Ridgeway, Colorado. That's on the Western Slope. I'm an Atlas certified trainer and team facilitator. I'm a CPTKA and also peer-free certified professional, just to name a few. I specialized in service dogs, puppies, and dogs with emotions. That's my kind of way of saying behavior modification, since it sounds a little bit less scary for my clients. I've been training professionally for over a decade using reward-based, science-based methods, as both as a service dog handler and a crossover trainer. Finding Atlas was like coming full circle. I gave me not only a certification, mentorship, and a community that lines up with my values as a trainer that I strive to be. I offer virtual training, in-person training, mostly one-on-one. I also just opened up a monthly membership that has different tiers. So that's my idea of supporting more owner trainers. So if they can't sign up for my full program, they still have a way of having a professional trainer in the background in ways that they can choose how much support they actually would like.
Nice. Nice. Hang on. I'll think about. Okay. So, what surprised you most about the program? And I don't care who wants to answer this, if you all want to answer this. Take turns answering this.
I thought about that, and I think what surprised me most was how in-depth everything was, and the fact that you guys are constantly updating and tweaking and adding things, and it was just very, very intensive and lots and lots of information that you guys are constantly updating, and I thought that was really awesome, especially compared to my training. I'm also a crossover trainer, but I took I got certified through ABC when I was in Germany, because it was the one positive reinforcement training certification that I could do online mostly. I had to do a couple of in-session. And when I went to the in-session, so you do a mentorship for a couple of weeks, and the person that they assigned as my mentor actually uses pinch collars. And when I mentioned this to them, they're like, oh, didn't really know that, but it wasn't a big deal, which was unfortunate because I never really got to mentor with a positive reinforcement trainer. But I really like the fact that you guys are really, really, there's just so much information, and you guys are constantly updating, which I think is fantastic.
I
I came
think,
back from the, oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I was just going to say, I came back from the APDT conference with a list of things I want to add right to some of the courses. Go ahead, Thela.
oh, I was gonna say similarly, I was surprised about how much emphasis Atlas put on history and the background of service work. I've actually seen like most programs just jump like straight into like the training mechanics, but with Atlas, I really thought that you guys made us understand like where service dogs came from, how the field has kind of changed, and why this method of training matters so much, not just in general, but in regards to service work itself. I really think the balance of like the history, the ethics, and the task work really made the learning feel so much more in depth than what I was expecting to have gotten from the program. Um, like she was saying, a lot of certification programs, it's just like, here's the stuff and enjoy. You don't really get like I feel like for other things, I didn't get like a full circle complete program like I did with Atlas. And I haven't really seen, even with other sort of service dog certification kind of programs I had been looking at because I wanted to continue my education with service dogs. It really doesn't compare to anything else out there.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
I think for me it was also like how in-depth and supportive your program is. Like I had done that for quite a few years before I joined you guys, and you still pushed me to grow like in the best ways. And it was not just like in theories where I just kind of like marked a couple of things and, like multi-question answers, but really like diving into training us to train the dog, and also training the person to train the dog, which I think is, I mean, we train people, right? We don't just train dogs. And I think you gave so many different ways of doing that, so that we just have more tools in our tool belt. So if we did something and we, aced the assignment, there was still something that the coach was telling me and say, hey, have you tried this? Or have you approached it this way? So it wasn't just about, okay, I'm passing it. It was like, I really still want you to learn more, Melanie. And I really like that because it just made me better in everything.
Thank you. I do think that's something that is really unique in this program, is how much we focus on the people. It's like there's the dog side, the people side, and then the task and disability side of bringing it together. And both what we've seen in our philosophy of developing it, and definitely what we've seen in other programs, that focus on how does this all come together, and how do you successfully work with the human, and how do you meet the human and the dog in their own unique spot where they're at that moment in time, at that, and what they need, is not something I see in other programs.
Yeah, I feel
Good.
even like it was more like a mentorship almost, I want to say, or at least it felt to me like that. As a crossover trainer myself, I tried, to get into another program, and they were very judgmental about where I came from. Instead of appreciating that I wanted to learn more about the other side and open me with open arms like your organization did, they just kind of kicked me out. And I really didn't like that kind of gatekeeping. And I don't think Atlas gave me ever a bad feeling about this. Or, even if you have a disability and you have to work through some assignments through that, you guys were always open to say, hey, Melanie, why don't you try it this way? That might help even myself. And I just felt really supportive, and it wasn't as scary as I thought in the beginning. I was very scared in the beginning, honestly, especially terrified about sending in videos. And you guys kind of got me out of that.
Good.
Yeah, we do require a lot of videos, and a lot of the
Yeah.
videos are you working with the client, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to see you working with the client. That's important to us.
Yeah. And I really like that. That was a really also like a really big why I chose Atlas, because a lot of others they just don't concentrate on that. They just, okay, you can train a dog and that's what we want to see. Not that we actually can train the people to train the dog, and that's what we do.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
always harder.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Always
kidding, right?
harder.
So how do you feel the program like shifted your practice?
I would say I was already working with service dogs a little bit before I decided to go with Atlas, but I think for me it really refined the way I approached the work. It gave me some other tools and perspectives to build really strong foundations for service dogs. And I think for me personally, it kind of inspired me to be more intentional about creating opportunities for people interested in learning to train using positive methods, and just like how important it is in like supporting the sort of next generation of trainers, or at least not even just that, but promoting the methodology in general, so that we can have more ethical trainers that want to do the Atlas program one day.
Yeah, for me, like I was, already in service dog training, hard and also in my career, but becoming an Atlas certified trainer, honestly, that strengthened and validated my work that I was doing more.
Mhm.
In my area, like one of the other trainers just mentioned, we have a lot of balance matters still. They're very common out there. So having Atlas beside me as an organization grounded in science and ethics kind of gave me more confidence and credibility to stand proudly in what I do rather than questioning myself. I just having the certification behind me is like, okay, I proved that what I'm doing is really right. Helped me with that. It also helps you to kind of get yourself out there, right? We're being listed on your website. That helped with more inquiries. People looking for trainers, they look on your website and they feel like, I guess when we listed on your website, that we have kind of proven by you as a bigger organization that we know what we're doing. So I think it helped in that way as well.
I think for me, because I have done so much just basic companion dog, pet dog training, which is fine, and I enjoy doing that. But again, it's sort of an uphill battle when you live in areas that have a lot of, I don't even know that I'd call them balance trainers, that are the quick fix, give us your dog for 6 weeks and, we'll fix them. It's very hard to convince people that it's better to take your time. And yes, this method, and that's one of the hard things with positive reinforcement is it's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight thing. Nor should anything be a one and done when you're working with children, when you're working with animals. It's never a one and done. You're always working on it. You should be. But that's not what most places promote. And I think working with Atlas has really refocused my desire to work with service dogs, particularly with vets. I did sort of off the cuff training with my husband's last English bulldog, which you would never think of as a service dog. She was wonderful. She was one of those really easygoing ones that I would trot out and say, look, I trained her, but really she just trained herself. And I really wanted to get more into that, and it really made me much more excited about focusing on service dogs, because I think that is really a need. Not that pet owners don't need help, but service dogs provide such an important aspect to people's lives that I really found myself wanting to focus strictly on doing service dog work, particularly for vets. So
yeah, I also think thinking about it a little bit more, what helped, because you put people so much first, I took what I did for my clients, like the write-ups and the training support. I did the explaining, then demonstrating. Atlas kind of inspired me to take that further. So now I kind of record my sessions with the clients so I can take little steps out and send it to my clients so they can see the process too. Because a lot of times they feel like they haven't gotten anywhere. So it helps them see how they train, just like we were forced to take videos kind of, but I do that for them. And I can pull things out that I see and label them and say, hey, did you see how great you did this? And did you see how real dog responded to that? So I think I do much more of that. I included, in my homework sheet, I include videos where they can see me or somebody else that I worked with train their dog. So when I leave and they forget what we did, they can actually go back and look at it again, because again, we have people that learn through reading, through demonstration, or through seeing it. So I just included much more in my program. They can reach out in between and can send me videos of them training their dog. And I will give them feedback on that, kind of like what you did in the academy with us, because it really helped me to get better. And I feel like this is such an important thing for my clients too. If they really take advantage of that, I kind of tracked that the last couple of months. And the people who actually do the videos and send that to me and do take my feedback, they get so much better, much faster. as their own trainer, because essentially
Right.
they are trainers too, right? Just for their own dogs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of like off topic because I don't really have, I don't have a dog training business. The only clients and dogs that I work with are through Atlas, but I have a small farm and I have a lot of animals on my farm. So I have cows and I have goats, and the dairy goats, when we first got them, were not comfortable with people. We'd go in there in the morning. I mean, they needed to be milked every day. We'd go there in the morning and they'd run all the way to the other end of the pasture. Right. And we'd have to, it would take three of us to kind of herd them together. Somebody'd have to grab their collar. We'd have to, drag them to the milking stand, physically get them up on the milking stand. So I started using positive reinforcement methods that I learned with Atlas. So now when I go down there in the morning, they're waiting at the milking stand door. Right. They have their pecking
Yeah.
order. So my Gertie Gert comes in first, but I open there. She jumps right on the milking stand. She's not shaking, it's not miserable for us. I mean, it's such a different process. And I think also it's made me look at people as a whole differently, right? So if somebody's rude to me at the grocery store, I'm not thinking, oh, this is a rude person. It makes me think more of, what's this person going through today? Because you never know what people are going through. So that's kind of helped me a lot with understanding people too.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to enroll in the Atlas Trainer Certification Program?
For me, as like I said, I'm a crossover trainer, and I really wanted to make sure that the service dog certification that I do is also science-based, same as, for pet dogs. I kind of wanted to have the opportunity to actually do send the videos and do have skills assessed. I didn't want just, like I said, the check boxes kind of thing. I also had met, I think I met Jen like at one of the APT conference like about 3 years ago, and got actually possibility to talk to her. And I think there was like one or two others of you guys there that I talked to. And that was a really positive experience for me, like how easy that was to talk to, and like just the setup you had in the booth, that I know now very well since I'm standing behind the booth here and there. So that encouraged me, and that you were so inclusive, to people, to dogs, to all backgrounds. Like you just really came over like you wanted to help everybody and you wanted to make sure we have fun doing it. It seemed more like a community to me than just, yeah, I'm doing this and when I'm done, I'm kind of like leaving. Like I felt part of it from the beginning, and that made me feel safe. And for me, feeling safe is really important. So that's kind of what drove it home for me to really go with you guys.
We actually have a thank you, and I'm glad because that community aspect is so much of what we build and want. And I think we tend to attract other people that want that service dog training is often treated as a secret sauce that nobody wants to share. And we're the opposite. And the people that do our program often feel the opposite. We're like, no, let's share it. Let's learn from each other. Let's make it better. Heaven forbid we run out of dogs and people that need help. That's an okay problem.
That's an okay. No, I think like the calibration was amazing. The teamwork, you never felt like you less, or I mean, it was just a team from the get-go. It was very, very nice to feel.
We have one person asking, and this is a great question, is what does someone mean when they say they're a crossover trainer? And I can say for the at least 3 or 4 of us older ones on this call, it means you're a certain age.
Older.
That means that's
so, but
essentially,
still,
until we get everybody crossed over, unfortunately, there's still those coming up through that mindset, which we all know. But for me, it was, I started as a guide dog puppy raiser when I was, I think 11. I think I was the youngest child ever be given in my area to be given a guide dog. Didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but we were in 4-H. My mom ran the dog obedience program for our 4-H club, which I then took over when I got to be a team leader. And we did, the choke chains, and we didn't do, the serious stuff, but that's just how you trained. And that's all I knew for most of my life, actually, till we went to Germany. I started looking into becoming certified as a trainer, because I just did it, as something I enjoy. And as soon as I realized what positive reinforcement could do for my relationship with my dog, I'm like an ex-smoker.
Right.
Adamantly, no, we don't do anything. I'm like way.
Uh-huh.
But it in a way, it kind of bothers me, because I look back on dogs that I have had and dogs that I have trained using the old methods, and I'm sad, because I if I'd known then what I know now, I would have had a completely different relationship with them, and we would have been so much more successful. So yeah, now I'm like adamantly the other direction. And I can't watch videos on, it just makes me sad. I've also learned so much more about reading dog body language, because that is not part of traditional training. They're either doing what they're supposed to be doing, or they're getting a correction. There's no, let's find out why they're doing that. Let's find out, where their mindset is. They don't care. You either do what I tell you to. And that's what I remember telling 4-H kids this. You ask once and then you tell. That was how we trained. You ask the dog to sit and then you tell the dog to sit. And it just, looking back on dogs that I've had, I wish I'd known, would have been so much happier. My dogs would have been happier. I would have been happier. It's just kind of a miserable way to train, to be honest, but it's still so ingrained. And I think because people see it as a quick fix. You don't have to have a lot of training to jerk on a leash. You really don't. It's not hard to do. But timing you have to have that. You have to work on that skill. And I think people want a quick fix, and that's unfortunate. But
I think when
better.
I was a part, like what we pronounce as balance trainer or whatever, I didn't even know what I was, honestly. I had no idea. I was training dogs, and I used street, and at the same point, the organization I back then worked for and volunteered for, they also used prong collars, shock collars, pretty much everything that's in there. And I didn't know better. I just didn't know better. And I think that's still a lot of times the case now. And that's why I really appreciate the question, whoever asked that. What is a crossover trainer? Well, mostly we don't know that we're on the other side till we are on the other side. And I just felt, when I got curious, when something happened to my own dog, he got attacked during his service dog career a couple of times and got iffy with dogs. He was just insecure. And I sent him to a board and train. And when he came back, he was just a different dog. And that's when I became really curious, noticed I've seen that in other dogs that I train, and I wanted to know more, and reached out to a trainer that already was part of the organization. And I was just like, okay, I want to know everything. I want to know why you do what you do, how you do that. She works with Suzanne Garrett, so she was a really good mentor for me to start. And I feel exactly the same way you just prescribed. Once I kind of got it and I looked more at like what the dog feels like and behavior and understanding behavior and the science behind it. I mean, now I just kind of a couple of weeks ago, I had to free my laptop of old videos, and there was old videos of me training dogs, and I felt terrible looking at it. I was like, I can't believe I was that person. So I, as a trainer, just feel so much better. And I wish I could forget about the past, but at the same time, the past told me a lot, and without it, I would never be the person that was the trainer I'm right now. So I guess it's still a good thing in a way.
It also gives us a little more empathy for the handler that may be using aversive methods without even realizing it. Or in many cases, people that are using tools because they're scared of getting hurt by their dog. They're scared of getting pulled over. They're scared of getting injured. They're fragile. And I think it's important to be able to say to people, hey, we understand you're not trying to hurt your dog. We appreciate you're doing this for a reason, and not demonize them and then say, hey, by the way, you know, I too have used these methods until I understood other ways to do this.
They're not.
You know?
They're simply trying to make things work better than they are. It's not I want to hurt my dog and make them be a robot.
So
They just don't know. And the methods are so pervasive still. I mean, we come from, was it in the 40s when you had the trainer that would swing the dogs around by
Helicoptering.
That wasn't that long ago. And it takes a lot of time for those kind of changes to come about. And the fact that I think a lot of people don't see their dogs as a separate entity. There's a great book called It's a Dog, Not a Toaster, which kind of says it's not a thing that comes at you, that you trot out and it performs and you put back away. They have their own desires, their own needs, and we're asking them to do something that is contrary to all of, we run their entire lives. It's like a child, except they never grow up. They never have that opportunity to make their own choices. And how is that okay? And I think a lot of people, like you said, just want things to be better, and they want them to be better now. They're not wanting to hurt their dog, but this person said, I can fix this issue so you can now walk your dog without worrying about XYZ. And that's what they want.
I was going to say, I'm not a crossover trainer, but I think it's so important to have people that are crossover trainers, because I think it's not hard for me, but I think it's helpful for people who are trying to cross over to be able to understand or have someone to go to that's like, okay, when you were crossing over, how did you do this? How did you stop going, to the mindset of correcting the dog immediately as soon as they, do something incorrect? Because it's not just a training method, I feel like, difference. It's also just a huge mindset difference of how you, like you were saying, how you view the dog and your relationship with the dog and who you are in that relationship with the dog.
I think that's so important what you just said. It really truly was a mind shift thing. Not just I train differently. I had to like I followed trainers that over positive reinforcement. I had to do kind of like an internship. I did my own studies on it. I needed to know, okay, this is really working. To come full course. It was really hard in the beginning to shift my mindset to the kind of like we say when we do a diet, you roll back if you not do the shift and it's a different lifestyle.
I was going to say too, I think it's hard for some people to be able to switch, especially in service dog training, because at least near me, I think almost every other service dog trainer around me is pretty much balanced to compulsion kind of training. And so when you've been going to these trainers, I think there's a lot of anxiety around taking the tools off, because, okay, I spent all my money on this training. What happens, when I take it off? And, there's just so much anxiety kind of around it. And so I think it's important for people to know, we're not judging anyone for having used tools or, struggling to make that transition. That's what I love about Atlas, is we are committed to helping people find, R plus and finding success with their service dog and creating that bond and mindset shift.
Yeah, that was my mentorship, my brief mentorship when I first got introduced to positive reinforcement, was working with a service dog trainer that used pinch collars on. It's just, and they were well known. You know, they train dogs for people. And I think that I think the lure of the speed that you can slap a collar, a certain kind of collar on a dog and get them to do what you want to, so that you can then hand them over to somebody and say, here you go. You don't have to do anything except push this button or yank this when they misbehave, is very alluring to some people, because, you know, if you're training a lot of dogs and you have a lot of different situations, I think maybe I don't know. But she
Yeah.
was very impressed. And I refused to use, when I worked with the dogs there, I said, I won't work with any of them with any kind of collar on other than a flat collar or a harness. And she watched me. Unfortunately, I didn't have a positive reinforcement trainer to actually mentor me. So I've had to kind of learn on my own. But she watched me and she was so impressed. And she said, I've had other mentorships through the same program and I just didn't see it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It didn't work, is what she had seen from other people. And she said, I get it now. You know how to make it work, and it works. Now, I don't think I, you know, changed her life dramatically, but I did plant that seed of this does work and it makes for a better relationship. But I think unfortunately, a lot of service dog trainers and companies really rely on those kind of methods, and it's unfortunate.
Well, I hope we finally answered her question.
Oh yeah.
We got it done.
Roundabout way.
We got on our
Trainers can
soapbox,
talk
right?
dogs for hours.
Right. Okay. So we got a couple more questions that we need to get through. So what advice would you give to someone who was thinking about joining the program?
I would say if you're thinking about joining the program, like you considering it and you know, kind of have the finances to do it, just do it. It's one of the best decisions I made for myself, for my professional growth, for my personal confidence. Yeah, for me, there's just no question. There's so much that comes after the certification, like the ongoing professional community that you can fall back on. Like if you don't know something or you want another way, you have people to reach out to that's gonna support you. You have access to like updated material, resources. Like I don't even think that I have driven into all the resources you give in the academy yet. If something changes, you update it. So the resources stay fresh. Yeah, which I super appreciate. And still, I feel it's a mentorship as well. So you get that with it. You just got so much for your money, I feel. You get just so much for your money. So why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, if you have a passion for service dogs and you have a passion for helping other people, just go for it.
I was going to say almost the same thing. My advice would be just dive in. If you are committed to continuing your education and positive training, or you're interested in that and supporting people and expanding access, there are so many people across the US and even just the world that could benefit from an Atlas trainer. You know, I would love to see the map filled up one day where I can just, you know, especially when you're working with certain clients that might benefit more from an in-person trainer. It's hard, especially virtually, when you look up their state and you're like, there's no Atlas trainer. You know, so I think it would be a dream to see the entire map fill. So my advice, similar to Melanie, is just dive in, just do it.
I think the best thing I could say is yes, absolutely, do it. It's a wonderful program, but expect to take your time. There is so much information there, and I can go back, I can reread, I can rewatch videos, I can go, oh wait, I don't remember what was said about whatever it was, and I have the opportunity to go back. But there's so much information that I think you really need to. It's not one of those, let's rush through it and get certified so I can put those letters on my
Yeah.
name. Hey, I'm, the alphabet after my name. I think really you need to take your time and really reread, rewatch, because there's so much information. And I pick up things again, the third or fourth time, like, oh, I didn't even, and then you guys are always updating. So I think it's a program that you can continually go back to and rewatch, and you'll still learn more stuff. I think it's just an amazing program, and you guys are so good about updating and staying current, and I just think it's wonderful.
I do think that's something kind of neat and unique in this is most programs, because I've done a bazillion programs too.
Yep.
You take them, you gain the information, and then you no longer have access to the material.
Yeah.
You may
Yeah.
have the book, you may have what you downloaded, you may have it saved, but it's static and you don't have access.
Yeah, you have no
Or
more
you have to
videos.
pay for any updates. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we really value that as long as you maintain status as an active trainer, we don't charge for any new courses.
Yeah.
And we're regularly partnering with experts and regularly building out our courses. And I think that's really critical. It also, I think, just keeps us relevant in the industry. It's really important that there's a lot of things we're learning in our industry, especially around scent training.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely critical to be ethical trainers, to know what's going on in the science and keep everybody up to date. So
It changes very quickly, and now that it's becoming more mainstream, there's more studies being done now, and more, funds being put into those studies. And I think if you're not, staying current, and that's another thing is certifying, having to do so many credits every year, I think is also really important. I think continuing to read, continuing to expand your knowledge, because it changes so quickly, especially right now. There's always new information coming out about, oh, well, we thought this, but now we've realized, because they're actually doing studies instead
exactly.
of,
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's really positive, I mean, obviously we need a certain CEUs to keep this credential, but it's not many. I think it's very reasonable. But when you think about, the other certification most of us hold, they need that too. And through actually what you get from Atlas and the updates and the new courses, you can read those too. So it's not only that Atlas helps with the CEUs you need for their credential, it also helps me, with the CEUs for the other credentials I have. So that's kind of cool.
We've talked a little bit about the community of all the trainers. So how important is that to you guys with the community we have? Because we have the office hours, Zoom calls twice a month where all the trainers can get together and talk. And of course, all our emails are out there. So anytime anybody has a question, we're there for you, be able to answer. And if we don't know the answers, we've got other people that we can go to as well.
I think for me, honestly, that was life-changing. The community is like a huge, huge part why I love Atlas so much, beside, your academy. That's keep going. I think as someone with a disability myself and really struggling with social anxiety, that your coaches and trainers are still so open to help me. And a lot of trainers, not just me, I think, kind of struggle with imposter syndrome. And we just actually covered that at the conference we were at last week. So I feel really good about reaching out. I actually did that just a couple of weeks ago. I was training the service dog that I retired 3 years ago from public access. She's coming back when we're trying to get her back into public access. And she had some feelings about her previous vest because she had a lot of ear infection and sticking her head through it. She just didn't feel good about it. And so as I was training a new vest for her to go back into public access, I was like, I just didn't love what I was seeing. And I'm like, who could I ask to help me with this that would knew the answer, but that also wouldn't judge me for not knowing? And so I reached out to one of the coaches and colleagues, Jill, and I was like, hey, here's a video of what I'm doing. I don't love what I think. Do you have an idea? And like she immediately came back, hey, let's do a Zoom call. Let's dive through it. And it was like in no time we figured out, and she gave me a tip that made it work. And I think this is so valuable because with your own dog, especially, you get stuck more often because you either overthink it or you have so much emotion in it. So I think the community is really, really huge and very helpful. And I just trust the community for Atlas.
And where else do you have that kind of access? You know, that can, especially for someone like me, where I'm in sort of the desert of positive reinforcement training. It's so nice just to get on and talk and go, oh yeah, that's right. There are other positive reinforcement trainers out there. They always have great ideas. It makes me think and expand my knowledge. When somebody has a question, I can go, ooh, how would I do that? You know, something I've never thought about. And then I have to think of solutions. And I think that constant challenge is so helpful. And like you said, you have access to other incredible minds that think the same way, that have different experiences and can help. And really no judgment. They don't. They just, how can I help you be a better person, be a better trainer, fix whatever is going on in a positive way? And I think that's so important.
Yeah, judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And no secret sauce.
Nope. And yeah, no. I think that's a huge part of the entire deal with Atlas.
Similarly, I was going to say it's really nice to have a network of people to reach out to that have the same sort of baseline of knowledge, but with everyone's unique experience and perspectives with it. I think a lot of the time, if you are looking for sort of advice or things online to like help with what you're looking for, it can be hard to know, that trainer's perspective a little bit. And even if you're maybe doing like an online forum for advice, you may get advice that doesn't really align with Atlas's training philosophy and even our training philosophy. So I think it's really nice to have that network of people that train just like you guys were saying. I was going to say also, it's really nice to have those meetings where we'll have like sometimes like guest speakers, which is so awesome to see. When I saw that in the email, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I feel like Atlas is like the gift that keeps on giving. It's just like, I'm like, how much more can I get out of the certification? And it never ends, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun. Well, we all love learning too. I feel like I learned so much from this group of trainers. There are like so many people with so much different experience that, like it's very much a give and give. Just like, it's really neat to learn so much from all of you and see people give back into the programs and help be part of them and help be part of making them better.
Yeah, because I think because we're open to, and we have a good rapport with the trainers going through there, that if they have a question, they question something that's in the course, like why is this written like this, or why is this taught like this? When we get together for our curriculum calls, we bring those questions up. We take the surveys very seriously, and if we can make the course better, if we can make it more comprehensive, we're willing to change it right away.
I'm sure a lot of that came from me.
But some definitely have.
It's been this way, and didn't you see this earlier? And what about? I'm one of those continual questioners, so I appreciate the fact that I can say I'm not understanding this correctly, or this is a little confusing the way it's written, at least for me. And you guys will come back with, and you look into it, and you doesn't necessarily mean it changes, but you're open to people giving feedback on different parts of the courses. And I think that's really, really great. Again, you guys are constantly evolving and adding and changing and making things more accessible and easier to understand, at the same time keeping up with the current trends and the current research. I think it's just really, really great.
Well, just so everybody knows, if you sign up before the end of the year, you get a $500 discount on the course. And if you sign up before November 30th, I think there's only 30 days in November, right?
Yep.
Then you get you get an additional $25 gift card for Amazon. So we're going to run this special to the end of the year. So hopefully we get some more people signed up, going through the academy, get some more Atlas trainers out there.
Yep.
Yes.
Do we have any other questions coming in, Jen?
Nope, not right now.
Okay.
So.
Is there anything else, anything that you guys want to add that I didn't, ask you in one of the questions?
I think I did want to mention that this is available. So it is an online platform and it is self-paced. And so that means we can have people from around the world. And I do think that's been a neat thing as we're seeing different people in different countries. We just had a second Brazilian trainer go through and sign up. And it's fun to see people excited in other parts of the world and see what they're trying to do to bring service dog training and positive training to their countries. And so I would encourage people that regardless of what country you're in, this program is very approachable and applies, and we will work with you. We had somebody go through the program with their translator with them the entire time. So,
And we do offer scholarships, right?
that too, yes. So yeah, we do have scholarships, and especially for clients with disabilities. So, we do what we can. We offer payment plans, and so at no additional charge. And so really trying to make this as accessible as possible. We want more qualified ethical trainers out there who can work with people. We need that as a society.
The other thing that I totally forgot to mention actually was you also can test out of things. So if you already went through a pet dog certification and you know a couple of things already, you actually don't have to redo it, and you get credit for it if you able to test out of it. So you also pay less for the academy. I think that's another really cool thing that you guys offered.
And we also have some standalone courses too. So we've got a foundation dog training course that we've just put together. So if you're thinking about getting your feet wet and you don't know a lot about training dogs, then you can start with that and then maybe go into service dog training. We offer our disability courses, our medical course, our psychiatric course, our scent course, as individual courses, as well as what else we have? We have a fitness course that is awesome, I should say.
Yeah, of
and
course.
the fitness course also has a lot of accessibility in it. We're trying to make it so everybody can use it. So, and we do that throughout really all of our courses, especially with the disability courses. We're not just thinking about trainers being able to train. We're thinking about clients with specific disabilities to be able to train their dogs. So not everything is standing up and running and, having to use your arms. We try to adapt our training.
And actually, that's also part of the course that you learn about other disabilities. So you kind of understand the client a little bit better and what their need might be. So it's not just about how to train the dog. There's a lot other things covered in the course.
And we also do, Jen, I'll let you talk about this because I don't know all the details about our mental health Mondays.
Yeah, so I think we're doing the last Monday of the month. So we have a mental health advisory committee that has a number of folks, but also definitely includes a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed mental health counselor who help us give us advice as we work with our own clients, going through our client certification. But we are putting out blogs every month, and we have our Mental Health Monday FaceTime Lives where we will dive into different topics, such things as handling grief around retiring a service dog or when a service dog doesn't work out. We've had someone setting boundaries, big deal for all of us as trainers and, service providers. So that's a neat place if you have questions about working with people with different kinds of mental health conditions, or how do you protect yourself? How do you, really set, like I said, set those boundaries. And so we have different topics that go through there that our professionals are giving information on, and we're also just talking and sharing our experiences. So those are always recorded and a great way to, learn more. And like I said, we're often referring back to other blogs that have additional resources. And so that's been a really phenomenal resource for us for our internal client certification program. And so that's something we really, want to share with the trainers and the public community, because there's enough stigma about mental health in our society. So we're doing everything we can to try to destigmatize it, and make knowledge more accessible and available.
Do we have any final words? Good? No questions?
Nope, and I just put the links for the full standalone programs in, which, as Shelley said, it's a great way for people to try out just different individual programs that ultimately all roll into the main trainer certification program, and about the $500 off. So yeah, take advantage of that. That even applies for if somebody's gone through our team facilitator program, they already get a huge discount on the academy. They still can get that $500 discount. Yeah, no, I think that's, I hope people enjoy this. Thank you all. I love,
Yeah,
to
thank
me,
you,
it's so
trainers.
like heartening to like sit here and to like watch what you guys are doing. I have the privilege in our program of getting to be the one that goes through people's programs with them. And so I get to learn a lot more about people's individual programs and businesses and get feedback on that. I really love that. I love to see the creativity and ideas and problem solving of our trainers.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop